if I would be a theater major, because I think that would have been enough for me to convince myself that I should choose a different career path. Right. So I admire all of their
so much
commitment.
Yeah.
It's really inspiring.
It helps the rest of us who kind of got ourselves trapped in this major. Not trapped, but like... so let us out! Now I love my major. I just mean, like, I don't know, I don't know if you guys have this experience, but the pandemic hit, and all of my friends who are professionals in theater don't have jobs right now. Yeah. And I was sitting here going, what happens when we graduate? And they, without question, came into the school and said, you know what? Who cares? I'm going to do what I love.
I want a piece of that.
Yeah. And it's exactly the mindset we need to take on as we're going. And I think this is such a cool time for theater because the expectations are out the window. Right. There is nothing, like nobody expects us to even be doing anything. Right. So we can make weird theater right now, which I'm so excited about.
And no one can say anything because they'll be like, wow, they're doing theater.
Yeah.
Because in normal times, they'll be like, that's a little experimental.
Yeah. Like who would put Shakespeare in a 70s summer camp? Not anybody.
Nebraska Wesleyan.
Ryan Kathman.
Well, I think it's also exciting too because we won't know what the world is going to look like in 3 years for theater. So I don't want to call it a renaissance or anything super dramatic like that, but it's exciting.
One thing that I am really impressed by the freshmen is that they come into the mindset where we're going to create that industry, right, for theater. Yeah. They're not worried that theater's dying because it's not. Theater's not dying.
No.
It's just
support the arts
and adapting right now.
And it's gonna just.
Yeah, and they said, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And help creating that new industry.
So exciting.
Yeah, it is very exciting to watch, and be part of.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So do you guys want to expand on your favorite memories and experiences during freshman year? What was the biggest thing that you've learned through freshman year?
I think for me, there was a whole, ideological shift in my brain, because I was fortunate enough to have a big tech department in my high school, which most theater kids don't have. But it was very much we knew before we ever interviewed for design positions how it would all fit together, because there were few enough of us, and we each had our own specializations and stuff like that, that I was used to people asking me to do things and not asking to have opportunities.
Right.
And it's very much the latter at Wesleyan. If you want to design a show, you just have to go to Rebecca and talk about it. And she might say, that's a little ambitious, let's put you on a one-actor, student-directed show. But they're not going to say no.
I love Rebecca. Rebecca, if you're listening.
Shout out to Rebecca.
I love you.
Rebecca, we love you.
But just, it took me a couple months to really figure out that, yes, if I waited long enough, I'd be given opportunities, but if I had specific opportunities I wanted to seek out, I needed to go and ask for them, and I wasn't going to be told no, which was a thing. It took me a little bit to learn, but I'm very glad I learned it.
Yeah.
Right. One thing, I totally agree with what you're saying there, Emily. One thing is just, if you want to do something, go figure out a way to do it.
Yeah. You're a great example of that with this lovely podcast.
All right, Harlie, what about you?
I had the coolest freshman year experience because last year I stage managed Christmas Carol also. 2 years in a row, baby. But it's going to be a completely different show, so I'm very excited for that. But anyways, just I had, before college, had 3 assistant stage management experiences, and then I got here and I said, Rebecca, I want to stage manage professionally, so put me on whatever you want this year so I can learn how to do it. And she said, I take that as a challenge, ma'am.
Of course she did.
And so she was like, well, sure. And so she put me as head SM on Christmas Carol, and the lovely Emily Counts was my assistant stage manager.
Yeah, she was.
And that was very lucky for me in the first place, because I started that show and I turned to Emily and I said, I don't know exactly what I'm doing.
And I said, don't worry, I'll help.
Yeah. I said, I think between the two of us, we're going to get this done.
And we did.
And we sure did. I remember one day we were backstage and I was doing calls over the God mic, and I was like, 30 minutes until places, folks. 30 minutes until places. And Josh walks by and Josh goes, 30 minutes till places? Is that a call? And Rebecca goes, she's learning, Josh. Let her be. It's like, thank you, Rebecca.
Yeah.
I will not do that in the future.
God bless you, Rebecca.
That was the first show I'd ever called cues for. I was assistant stage manager on Newsies, and so I learned from Lily Craig, who's a senior this year and wonderful. Hi, Lily. But I didn't find out until much later that was her first show head stage managing.
It was?
So, right? She did such a good job.
Wow.
Yeah, the professional air that you can put on, and you can not let people know that you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
And like, stage managing is so much fun. If you can stage manage a one act, that is the most low pressure way to be involved in a production from an entirely different side of things.
Right. And still have that, like, learning how to be professional.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we had this debate in script analysis last year. He was like, are stage managers artists? And I said, no. Because a stage manager's job is to, like, make everything happen, but you don't get to make any decisions creatively. You don't get to influence what the show ends up looking like. You just make whatever everyone else wants to happen.
Right.
And my organization, my organizational brain loves that stuff because it's just about accomplishing goals. And yeah, right. I love stage managing.
Right. Without stage managers, the show wouldn't run.
No.
So absolutely not.
We're sort of learning that with As You Like It, because our stage manager had to self-isolate. She didn't test positive, but she came in contact with someone who did, and so the 3 ASMs, suddenly all 3 of us shared all of her responsibilities. We very quickly realized, like, you need one person who is in charge to call the shots.
It seems like a hard show to do that anyway because there's no headset system. You guys are talking... How many people have walkie-talkies?
Just me, Anna, and Josh. The stage managers talk over text. Claire and Maggie just text each other.
If anything goes wrong, it's a scramble to fix it, but they are doing an amazing job.
I haven't heard any horror stories yet.
Yeah.
We get Alexis back this weekend, so
Hi, Alexis,
I'm excited.
Love you.
All right, Tanner, what about you? What kind of freshman experiences? What's the biggest thing you've learned?
Oh, gosh. Okay. So, first round main stage auditions for Newsies happened, and I think people really get bent out of shape over main stages sometimes, but I think some people get really excited about main stage shows, which you totally should, but there's so much happening in our department anyway, like outside of that. I was put on to make projections for the Wolves, and Ryan Kathman approached me, and he was like, so you have a lot of experience in projections? And I was like, no, I don't, but I'll make a PowerPoint for you, and I did, and it was a really classy PowerPoint, and that's what happened.
And I didn't even notice.
And no one knew. No one knew.
They looked professional to me.
Well, thank you. And, like, immediately after that happened, Red happened. I learned so much from that show. Red was so freaking special and wildly stressful, but I would not take that back for anything. So I was called in 2 weeks before Red was supposed to go up, and Olivia took me on. And
Olivia Lindbergh directed.
Olivia Lindbergh. God, we love Olivia. And James Allen and I put our heads together with Olivia and our lovely stage manager Charlie, and we just booked it. We put in like so many hours into these rehearsals, and it was just super duper special. The show itself was just, there's so many dynamics going on.
It's a 2-man show, and Tanner, 2 weeks before it opens, is called in to be the second man because of casting changes, and I didn't know you that well back then, and that show was incredible.
Oh, God.
I did know you, and it was still incredible.
Thank you.
I heard you made Joan cry.
Oh, you did?
Which... It's just, I remember running into her office one night during rehearsal because there was this monologue that my character has where I'm talking about my slaughtered parents. And I was like...
Like you do.
Yeah. And I was like, Joan, how do I cry? And she taught me, like, that day. And then 2 weeks later, it's, I don't know, full circle. God, thanks, Joan. We love you.
Yes. Joan Cordy, if you are walking Henry right now listening to the podcast, we love you. Okay?
Yeah.
We love you.
We stan Joan Cordy.
Yeah. So.
We're very proud of Henry for retiring, but boy, do we miss him.
Yeah. I guess I could just talk about Red all day long, but I just, the moral of the story is, like, you can be involved in the places where you least expect it, and sometimes something really special can come out of that. So
I can attest to being frustrated with casting. I didn't perform in anything until American Idiot. I wasn't in any student directed or any main stage until second semester of freshman year. And obviously I was frustrated, but I think the thing that this department has taught me is that, you know, if you're not getting cast, it's because you need to improve. That seems like an obvious thing, but I was learning so much in my acting classes and my musical theater classes, and I was like, well, I obviously need to start applying this, because it's not just like, they're gonna cast me eventually. It's like, I'm training to be a professional, and that's something that's way different from high school theater, like you were saying, Emily, is that, like, suddenly it's, I mean, I'm sure that's for every college program, you're training to be a professional, but suddenly you're learning these things, and they're applied right away. You're going to a bunch of auditions, and you get feedback from those directors. I love that our department allows you to just go ask people for feedback on your auditions. That's so productive. But, like, I just kept working, and the American Idiot cast list came out, and I called my mom at 11:30 at night, and I said, Mom, I'm in the ensemble!
But first, you finished your Christmas Carol report. You were sitting on the floor of my dorm. You finished the Christmas Carol rehearsal report. You opened the American Idiot cast list, you didn't say anything. You finished the Christmas Carol rehearsal report, sent it out, and then you went, Emily! Which I really admired, that you took the time to finish your current job.
Well,
Really freaked out about the next one.
Priorities.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, well, funny story from Christmas Carol. It was my first time being a head SM. I had never written a rehearsal report before. I'd received them, but I'd never written them. And they take a long time if you're not doing them during the rehearsal, because I'm just compiling all of my notes at once. And it's a massive show. They take forever. Mm-hmm. I got in trouble with both Joan Cordy and Jack Parkhurst because I got emails from them saying, why are you sending rehearsal reports out at 2 a.m.? Stop it. They said, go to sleep. It's like, well,
they care about your
no, I appreciated
schedule.
it. Yeah, so then I started doing rehearsal reports much earlier in the night. Yeah, which is why I had to finish
Go
it.
to sleep. You need your rest, Harlie.
I was like, yes, I will.
You're probably right about that.
Once you're cast, it's a really fun experience, but the leading up to it isn't as bad as you think it is, because it's all about, you know, working on yourself and working on your monologues and your songs and your skills, and I've grown so much in the 6 weeks we've been at school this year because of all the classes and professors, and my audition skills are that much better from every single thing we're learning. I don't know, my high school didn't have a theater department at all. We did one musical a year that my choir teacher directed, and
quite different.
Yeah.
Of course.
Big difference.
Do you guys have any stories from, like, American Idiot or any shows that you were in that you'd like to share?
Well, frick, I just talked a lot about Red.
I came up with a story, it came to me last night, as something that I forget happened, but it was so impactful to me. I don't know why I forgot it happened, but I props mastered Wolves, and it was definitely just there's a new freshman tech kid, seems to have a fair amount of wide breadth experience, we need a props person, let's ask Emily. But it was very fun, and I didn't have props mastering and, like, designing experience, I just had props crew experience. But so basically, if you didn't see the Wolves, it's it's a team of soccer players on stage, and so the primary props are soccer balls and then whatever's in their soccer bags. And so I basically went to each cast member and I was like, what would your character have in a soccer bag? And then Simon and Rebecca came to me and went, why would you do that? You only give people props that are asked for. And I was like, because it's a character development. I don't know, I'm trying to learn. But one of the things, I can't remember their numbers, all the characters' names are numbers, but Aaron Veets and Katie Evans' characters, who are best friends, both requested friendship bracelets, like, with the other, and so I made friendship bracelets out of embroidery floss that I found in the props library, and I handed them to them, and then I was at a Q2Q that didn't have the cast, and I never saw a run of the show. I, like, fixed props notes, but I didn't actually see it until I went to opening night with an audience, and they used those friendship bracelets in the like, climax moment of the Wolves. All the characters are sobbing, and that's when, like, everyone around me in the audience started sobbing, and it was just, it's like, as a designer, for me, you're just wanting to get emotion out of an audience. It doesn't matter what emotion it is, and so seeing everyone around me start sobbing because these friendship bracelets had become part of the blocking that was so cool. So, like, everyone around me is, like, sobbing, and I was just grinning.
She was, like, cheering. And
it was so cool, but it was just so cool, and that was...
A sea of people bawling, and
yeah.
just Emily in the middle, just...
Yeah! It had been a while since I designed something because I did a ton of management my last